Welcome to RELaunch Live Podcast. RELaunch Live Podcast. Talking all things real estate, the strategies that build it, and sharing their own life-changing growth plans. They are two of the most dynamic people in the business with one common goal: to make you rethink, reimagine, and be re-inspired in your life and business. Welcome to the RELaunch Live Podcast with your hosts, Veronica Figueroa and Jeff Lobb.
Hey, here we are back at the RELaunch Live Podcast, and I'm so thrilled to see our dear Veronica back with us today.
Thank you. It's good to be back, guys. Obviously, Jeff was holding down the fort. Pardon the background, I'm working from home, recovering a little bit from a personal surgery that I had to get done, but excited to be back. Jeff, thanks so much for holding down the fort.
Of course.
RELaunch Live, obviously, we are so excited always to bring you amazing guests who are going to help you rethink, reimagine, and be super re-inspired about your business in real estate. And today we have an amazing guest that is a dear friend of mine. She goes by, well, her handler is Curly Brit, right? We'll talk about that. If you've never met her, you're absolutely going to love her. Nikki Klein, thanks so much for blessing us with your presence here today. And I can't wait to dive deep. I mean, before the show, you and Jeff were already kind of talking about your expertise, what you master in this business that is just going to give so many people so many nuggets that they can apply in their business. But I'm just glad that now you guys have met. I think you guys are going to be friends, and just proud to call you a friend.
Oh, thank you. Same. Thank you for having me. So
excited. Yeah. And Jane, she does have that Brit accent. I love it too. It's a
I do, but my handler, I picked my handler before I was even in real estate. So I don't know.
I think it's perfect.
All right. Just for those who have not met Curly Brit. So Nikki Klein, the Brilliant Living team in South Florida, right? So that's where your real estate world happens, right?
That's right.
Down in South Florida. And we talked about, so for those who don't know, Nikki has a superpower. And today's superpower.
We all have superpowers, just so
yes.
That is true. We all do. But yours is coming out today. We're bringing it out. You probably have many superpowers, but we're going to bring out at least one of them.
Okay.
At least one of them.
Let's jump into it. I mean, there's something that is so magical about what you've built through Facebook groups. And Jeff, when I was telling him about you, he's like, wait, what? We're talking about Facebook groups of 20,000, 100,000, 10,000 in a week. Like, yet there's agents and people out there that can't get more than 100 people. So,
right.
Jeff, I think you were pretty intrigued, right? What do you want to know? He's
you find very few people in this group in the world here that can get, really good engagement in groups. And, people have groups. We belong to hundreds of them, but a lot of them just don't work because we're not working it. So yes, I'm intrigued. Let's talk about let's just tell us about the group that you have the biggest engagement with. What is it? What do you do there?
Yeah, sure. So I actually, listening to you speak, it's really interesting because I have built so many groups and some of them die as well, right? Like that, not all of them are successful. The ones that I'm super passionate about and the ones that I add value to, those are the ones that grow and those are the ones that succeed. My most successful current group is one that I run locally in my area. It's called Boca Raton Moms Connect, but we don't allow realtors in. So if you're a realtor watching this, don't try and get in because we won't let you. And we have 22,000 people community.
Oh, lost your audio.
Wait, and that's okay, Nikki, because that's part of your culture that you built in that group. There's no selling real estate. Nobody's in there pitching real estate.
Right.
No. But it's kind of like my own private database. I kind of created this world actually out of need because I had moved to the area. I did not know anybody about 8 years ago. And I was like, well, how am I gonna figure out like where my dry cleaners is? Where's the best Italian food? I don't know anybody. And I went on the other groups, the other community groups, and it's like a lot of drama, a lot of sales, a lot of this and that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay focused and I'm going to create my own group. And by the way, I was not in real estate when I started this group. I had actually created a Facebook group in Connecticut where I moved from, and it grew to about 1,000 people. And it was really added so much value to the community to the point where I needed speed bumps put outside my house and I did not know how to do it. And I rallied the group and within 2 weeks we had speed bumps outside my house. So it's the power of community, right? It's the power of being something bigger than yourself. And so when I moved here, I knew that I'd been successful in Connecticut with the group. And so why not start something where I was moving to? And it just kind of, I just kept adding value, kept, asking questions, and it encouraged other people to ask questions. I encouraged engagement. Never talked. Once I got my license, I was like, oh, this is going to be my private database, right? Like, I'm not going to let other realtors in here. I'm going to really focus on these people and helping them, because when you come from value and contribution, it's reciprocated. It's just it's the law of attraction, law of give and receive. So when you come from heart, it really does come back to you. So basically I started this group, word got around. I mean, I get people messaging me from everywhere, just saying this group, it's been completely invaluable. I had a hairdresser reach out to me saying that last year she made an extra $30,000 for a hairdresser. That's, well, for anybody, that's a lot of money to make. Yeah. Just because of the recommendations from the group.
That's great.
You started the group because you were a mom, you didn't know anyone in the area. And was it a mom's group? Is that how it started?
Yeah, it was a mom's group. So women like to connect with other women. So that was pretty much, one of the things that I thought about making it a community group and a parent group and including men. And then I said, you know what? And also you have to, as a leader of a group, stand really firm with your belief and don't let other people bully you into changing anything. Because I had people at the beginning say, oh, it should be a parent group. It's not fair to my spouse, or my spouse is a stay-at-home dad. And I totally get it. But at some point you have to have a vision and you have to stick with it and not let, the noise, let them create their own dad's group. That's okay. Yeah. This is a specific mom's group. Now, as we've grown over time, we have let men into our group now. We allow men to come in, but they're maybe 3% of the group.
Okay. So take us back to, because I think where most people get stuck, Nikki's in the beginning, right? So you start with a group, you start with 100. How do you start to get?
Wait, you start with 0.
Well, you start with 0. Yeah, you start with 0.
With 0.
And it's public group, right? It's a public group or private?
Nope, it's private.
Private. Okay. So being private is even harder, right? But it's exclusive. How do you build it? How do you get to 100? How do you get to 500? How do you market it?
So it's honestly being, like I said, it's coming from contribution. It's adding value. It's being the breaking news. So one of the things that I would do is I would put in if there was new construction community coming, as an example. I don't talk about real estate in my group. I just have started in the last year talking about real estate. For the first 5 or 6 years, there was no real estate. So it's coming from contribution. It's talking about events that are happening, that are going to be coming up. It's looking at the newsfeed, checking on events, checking on just interesting things that I would find interesting. They're having a spring fling. I'm going to
farmers market or something.
Farmers market, anything, whatever events are happening, people want a place to go. Where can you go? It's very hard to find what's happening. So be that here's what's happening. But the other recommendation I would have is be super passionate about the topic. If you're starting a Facebook group just to create a Facebook group, it's going to fail. You have to have some kind of passion behind what you're doing. If you don't really want to connect the community, but you're really into fishing, start a group about fishing. Whatever your passion is what you should follow. Because if you don't feel it, it's going to fail.
Right. So here's where I think people get stuck. You probably see this too. Well, I'm in real estate, so it should be a group about community and we could talk about real estate in there. And then, but you know what? It becomes pitchy. It's
commission breath, right? That people can feel sales. They don't want to be sold to when they're moving to a community. Some of them have already bought houses. They're not really interested in seeing what's listed or what's coming. People are intrigued about real estate. It's always a topic of conversation. But they're more interested in knowing where's the next play group for my 3-year-old? That's what I care about. I don't care about your sales.
Right.
No offense. Not really what I'm here for. So the people that are constant, it's the same thing with social media. Whenever I see somebody just posting about I closed. Nobody cares. The only person you're doing that for is yourself, right? Your audience I don't hear Veronica's sound, do you?
B, turn up your mic.
Sorry, say that again for the people in the back of the room so they
right. No, I mean, I just say it's like, you don't want to know every time your mechanic does an oil change. You don't care. Or your hygienist cleans teeth. You don't care. But if there was a story behind it, like your, hygienist was like cleaning the teeth from somebody who just chewed through an apple, like a story, something that people can emotionally connect to. It's a whole different sense. I mean, I just made a post about a closing that we just had. The seller didn't want to move out twice, and our buyer just bought the house. So that was, that's a good post to make, right? Because it's like, wow, that happens.
People are
instead
intrigued.
of just putting closed, just sold, just listed. Tell the story behind it. That's what people want to get vested in. Is like, that's the human language,
right? So how do you deal with someone that has then, let's say they find out you're in real estate through a story, because that's the best way to learn. It's a story. I'd have to tell you I sold anything, but it was a fun story. I'm in real estate. When people actually ask questions about real estate, maybe it happens. Do you keep it in the group or do you take it offline?
Take it offline.
So like DM and get into the conversation offline.
I put in my description, there's no real estate talk in here. That this is a group that I've created. I spent a lot of time on. If you have any real estate questions, I'm more than happy to talk to you offline about it. Just out of respect, please don't tag any of your realtor friends. If this is my baby that I've grown, that you gain value from. So I don't get paid to do this.
Right.
So what I would ask is that if you ever think about real estate or have any real estate needs, please reach out to me.
I love that you stay within principle. And that's another thing. Like, these are your standards. This is how it is. You're not going to waver from it. You could get tempted of if someone asks for something, you're still not going to be commission breath yourself.
Nope.
You can go ahead and take this offline.
Yep.
Because you want to preserve the integrity of what that group is.
Correct.
And you have done such a good job of it. Someone asked, how many members are in that group? In your mom's group, is that 22,000?
Yeah, I have 22,000 people in there.
So what I love about it is you had said to me one day when I was saying, Nikki, I need help growing a group. And we're still in the process of kind of really identifying what the vision of that was. But you were like, you can't build this alone. You identified who are generals or ambassadors, or, who participate. And, maybe they become experts or contributors to the group or admins to the group. Take us down that journey, because I don't want anyone watching or listening to think they have
running
to do
this myself. Yeah. No,
how did you rally to build a team, ambassadors for this moms group that help build the culture? And how did you identify that?
That's an excellent question. So the culture really started from me. As the leadership, I had to really have standards and expectations set so that people knew coming in that you cannot talk about politics. We do not discuss vaccinations. We do not talk about religion. We have rules. No sales. Those are the 4 big ones, right? That's not part of our group, because what happens there is that's when the drama comes in, right? That's when there's conflict. So those were the main things. People know, this group is a tribe. They will report anyone who is bullying, people making political comments on, if somebody's like, hey, does anyone know a school that is a little more lenient about having your kid in masks? Okay. That's always I have to keep my eye on it, because then all of a sudden you'll get, oh, this is because of this, and this is because, no, we don't allow that. That's not what the question was. We stick to the question, we stick to the topic, and the parents know that. And so they report, they know that I have a 0 tolerance for bullying, and you'll get booted. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have messaged me can you please let me back in? Because the group really, really adds value. And so I really made sure that the culture was there. And then to answer your question, long-winded answer, I found staples in our community. I found influencers. I found moms who have businesses who want to get to know the community too. So I have a handful of people who have skin in the game, right? Either they're influencers and they really love giving their opinion, and they want to be concerned about what's happening in the community. And so they're very involved in the group to make sure that our standards are hit. Or they run small businesses. And so one of the perks is that, you get the shout out. If somebody needs insurance and you're moderator of my group, we're going to make sure your name gets to that person.
Right.
So it's the give and receive. We all do this for volunteer work. So
do you see the typical, like, I know, like I have a good connection with a lot of the moms groups in our towns too. And a lot of them are friends of ours, and a lot of them also have a lot of side hustles too. And they love their side hustles.
Mm-hmm.
And you catch any of the ones trying to slip in, like the brand slide hustle, like they be doing like one of these, they're like, they're showing the brand and they're like trying to get the brand out there. Like, are you in oils? Or are you doing this? Or you like, does that fly?
I will let some people slide if they're slick about it. Like if they kind of ask questions, I'm like, listen, you can't post that you're selling this stuff, but if you can have a friend post in the group and say, hey, does anyone have the best skincare? Mm-hmm. And then you can comment in it, or you can have your friends comment in it, but you can't promote it yourself. So there are ways to get around it, which I'm okay with, because they can promote their business, but then other moms can promote theirs too, right? If it's like a skincare line or something.
That's awesome, because that's a lot of things happening there, which is good, because everyone wants a piece of the group, right? Everyone wants a piece of that.
100%. And what I'm starting actually today is that I have a cat right here. I have a past client who just moved from New Jersey to Florida, and she runs a huge successful Pampered Chef business. And she reached out to me. She's like, Nikki, would you do a party? I'm like, girlfriend, that's not up my alley. But here's what we're going to do. Because you were one of my clients, the privilege that you're going to get is to run a party in my group. I'm going to let you run a party in my group. Sorry.
There's the cat.
I'm going to let you run a party in my group, because she said she's struggling and she worked so hard to level up in that company. And I want her to succeed at a high level. She helped me. I'm going to help her. And so it's kind of like, we have to be very careful with the optics, right? With everyone else, but it's the same thing. Like, you gave me business. I want to help you. I'm going to give back to you. Right. So that's the sort of thing that we're going to start doing with our clients. If you're one of our clients and you've helped us succeed, we're going to reciprocate. Like, that's what we want to do for you.
Okay.
This Facebook group has turned into something that is really even outside of the virtual space. You go to the grocery store and they'll like, you're the curly hair girl, or you're the girl who runs the Facebook.
Yeah.
Or Nikki. Like, it's like celebrity status within your community. And now you're going to be called the cat lady because your cat.
I am definitely like, my cat is literally. Yeah.
I love that. No, but like, that's the power of what these groups can do. So anyone who's, listening, if you hear what she says, she led with value. She found staples in the community. She made sure that the community is protected with standards, but she is the authority. So now when you go out there, people are like grateful for you because you brought friendships together. You met your best friend, and now your director of, or your pretty much your ops guru,
like my
online, your partner in crime, right? Online, doesn't even live in Florida.
Nope.
You actually met her through the power of a social group.
It wasn't one of ours either. It was like a totally separate group.
And you know what's really cool is I went to a women's event with you, and we got to bond, and you got to talk about Facebook groups, and you're like, this is more than a Facebook group. Mm-hmm. And actually you showed a video and you teared up.
I was like
bawling. and we're like, she's crying over these Facebook groups, but it's the power of the communities that they have helped, whether it's sex trafficking, like raising money and doing things to help people, place people, and like, people
even to the point where I've had parents reach out to me and say that their kids were getting bullied in school, and they made posts about it, and other people responded, and now their kids are best friends with some of the people who commented in the group. They have a whole new like connection of people. Like, how do you
And I think that's the heart of what you're creating is about truly bringing value, right? So, sometimes someone will listen to this and like, well, I'm gonna go start a real estate group. I'm gonna start a group now. But you've got to get super clear on what you're doing. And when I got to spend some time with you, I already knew you, but and I saw how powerful this was for you. I'm like, Nikki is crying about Facebook groups. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, right? Because she genuinely cares and will protect it. And, you've also been invited to be an admin with other very influential groups too, because they, obviously your integrity and you've helped you were part of Lab Code Agents as well.
Yep.
What does the responsibility there consist of?
I mean, it's very similar. They have very set standards and expectations of all of the members, and you have to adhere to them, and there's no bullying. And so because it's such a large group, I think it's 140,000, 150,000 now, we just have to keep our eye on the community and make sure that people aren't doing the things that don't fit in with the culture. And if they aren't, then they got to go.
It's culture management.
Culture. It's the same thing as building a team. It's the same, it's the same idea. Culture is the most important thing in growing something.
You know what the magic word is, V? You said it, and I have actually a new talk coming up later in the year that this is going to be a magical word in it, is when we say creating value. The word value we use often, but it's not defined, meaning if you ask a typical real estate agent, hey, provide value in your group, it's going to be commission breadth value, throwing real estate value, reports value. No, value to the community, meaning if it's a mom's group about things that are doing with the kids and the stories of children that are, what help do you need as a mom and the mental support and that's the value, not necessarily what some people perceive value as.
Value, right. And in my opinion, value is coming with it's having a servant heart. It's like helping other people succeed. That to me is value.
Kevin Kendrick, I think you've met him, or if not, you're definitely going to meet him. We're going to hopefully bring him on the show. He also has a Facebook group, and it's 12,000 people and growing. And he calls it Narcoosie News. And when I moved to this side of town, I joined some of the groups, and I have a lot of respect for them, and they do allow realtors in it, but obviously we don't promote any real estate. And my daughter left her dog for me to watch, and he's tiny, and we had just moved to this house, didn't realize the fence had a little hole in it, and he got out, and he's her baby. And it was going on that group that I was like, oh my God, Kevin, can I post? He was like, absolutely, post on there. And the amount of people that rallied to help find Zeus, and we were able to find him. And the neighbor, she lived a couple blocks down. She's like, I'm coming to you, don't worry. And another neighbor's calling each other. And then they're like, welcome to the neighborhood. I knew I had found my home. I found a community. And I told Kevin, I was like, I am so grateful for your group. And how many times have people told you, Nikki, thank you? Thank you
all the time. Actually, yesterday I volunteered at my kid's school, which was a first. And we would stapling candy for Valentine's Day to the papers. I don't know what they were doing. And
out of your comfort zone.
Very out of my comfort zone. Next time I'll write a check. But so basically the women there were like, you run Boca Moms. One of them said she actually moved to the area because of that group. She was like, one of them was my client actually, who was she met me from my group. And then one of the moms that we were talking to, she was like, I was so lost and I couldn't figure out what's what. And I joined the group, and that was what pushed me to move here. And she's like, and I have a friend who lives in Naples. So if you live in Naples, listen to this. I have a friend who lives in Naples, and she said, all the groups are so crappy that she doesn't it sucks. So if you live in Naples, you should probably start one of these groups.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So how many people say, well, I'm not going to start a group because there's already one. There's already a group. What advice do you have for someone who's saying,
really? Okay, here's the advice that I would have. If that's how you feel, then don't get your real estate license, because how many realtors do you have in your area?
That's right. Good point. There's already a realtor here.
So what do you have? 10 Facebook groups, 20? How many realtors are in your area, Veronica?
24,000. And by the way, we came in at number 2 out of 24,000.
Yeah, girl. Of course you did. But that's my point, right? You have 24,000 agents and you're not afraid to sell real estate. Why are you afraid to create a Facebook group that adds value to your entire community?
Right.
So good. So
I
good.
love
You
that.
just inspired me like to go and get to work on my groups.
Yeah, I think we're all getting
Pour
triggered
love
here.
on them. Like, hey, Jeff, 52 coach, coach 52 group, right? It's not about even selling the product. It's about really giving the value, right?
Yeah.
And I'm inspired. Like I have all these ideas now, like, man, I got to get to work.
Yeah, it got me thinking. I do have a tactical question though. So because I think people sometimes think because it's you have the name Boca, right? So it's Boca, it's basically Boca Moms. But how many people are in that group are not from Boca or outside Boca?
A lot of them, which I love.
Right. That's
like
what
the
I'm
best
thinking.
thing ever.
It's outside. So some people think because they have it's not only going to be Boca, it goes beyond because people want the value and the content
Before
that's
they
in
even
that group.
move in.
Yeah.
They want to know what they're getting into.
They want to know, the area they're moving to. We have people like, hey, I'm thinking of moving to the area. What about this? What about that? And they watch how the environment and the community is. And that's a big deciding factor. I mean, okay, let's talk a little bit of real estate. We're going to throw a little real estate. We're realizing real estate is more than just the home, right? People are looking for community. People 100%. Are looking for more than just a roof over their head. Is this a place where I'm going to feel safe, where I want to, I feel like I fit in and I want to build a life there?
And we have to be really careful as realtors. We can only disclose so much, right? Like we don't want to go against any fair housing. Like we don't want to steer anyone. So look, I used 2 words from my real estate class. Thank you.
Look at you.
So we don't want to do that, right? So with a group like this, they get to see, are these my people? Is this where I want to, I don't have to say anything. I just say, come join my group, ask your questions, do whatever. Yeah. And it's all done it's like another form of leverage.
It's fantastic.
So good, Nikki. I love this. Okay. So Jeff, you have a couple questions because I can keep on going, but let me let you ask.
Sure. So did you find, do you actually dive into pages versus just groups too? Like Facebook
so pages to me are more informational. It's kind of like a newspaper. It's like a newsletter. Mm-hmm. Groups are much more interactive.
Okay.
Right. So you want to have that engagement. You can't really do that in a page.
Got it.
That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. Pages have a different, it's found on Google. It's searchable. It's a public entity.
Mm-hmm. It's more for business. I would say have a business page and, then you can talk about your closings. You talk about a market update, do whatever you want to do. But a group should really be a place where people can connect.
Got it.
So in your opinion, if I had the Boca, is it Boca Raton? Give me the
Boca
right.
Raton.
Boca Raton Moms group on a Facebook page, or call it the Boca page, you're going to get a lot more engagement in groups because it's private versus a public facing page that's open to everybody. Because
I mean, listen, some people have huge successes with pages. It's definitely a thing. That's not my passion. That wasn't where you got to follow whatever your heart calls to.
Well, I think what you had taught me, or when you were like kind of coaching me through this and we were talking through it, because I had 101 questions too. This group now is self-managed. Like you don't have to post, but you could go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the posts are just,
they keep going.
Yeah, so it's not like, I feel like pages are more like, hey, it's me putting information out to the world, like, and it's dependent on me, right? Where the page that she's built is a true self-managed community that now Nikki doesn't even have to be the one. She's more like maybe policing to make sure people are not breaking the standards or, and are compliant. But the culture of what's happening in that page is no longer dependent on Nikki.
Right. That's 100% accurate. It runs itself. You reach a point where it just is like, it does its own thing.
Yep.
I love that.
On the beginning, when people come into the group, I imagine there's a list of questions. You have qualifying questions to come in to agree to join your group. Most of it is, it doesn't ask about where you live. What are the definitions?
Oh yeah, that's where I get a lot of my leads because I ask them if they're moving to the area.
Yes. Okay.
Obviously, you capture email, right? You capture email. There's a database.
So let's go right there a second. Let's open that a second. So if I'm joining right now, which I would do it live if I could. What am I? So I'm going to see.
You a realtor because I wouldn't let you in, but yeah.
That's I do. I am getting a little. V knows that I'm getting a little bit. Some of the women's groups are doing such cool stuff. I just got to get into some of the women's.
You can
groups.
get it. I'll let you in my group.
Because so many, like all these masterminds, I'm like, I want to be there. But anyway, like talk about the couple questions you're asking, because I don't think people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking them if they're moving to the area, if they have a local realtor, and would they be open to letting me be their realtor? And then I ask them for their email address for our newsletter.
Okay. And they want in because they've heard about it, so they're going to opt in for answering the questions. If they don't answer the questions, they don't get in.
They get in. We let them in.
Okay.
Is email the minimum requirement?
There aren't really, like with questions, you can't force people to ask to answer them.
Right. It's optional.
But I go to those and I like when I know I want to get into a group, like I'll comply with what's being asked.
Most people do.
Like there's a psychological
like way I don't want to like not do it. Right.
Yeah. And I'm getting ready to enter your world. I should honor you and at least answer.
Well, but that's, your perspective. You're special. Yeah. Most people are like, I'm not giving them my email. I don't want to list junk.
Yeah.
But most people, because we do a newsletter, people want to know what's going on. So they're happy to give their email address.
All right. So let's trigger that though. So your group then has a newsletter that goes out.
Mm-hmm. We have a couple of different drips. So we have real estate drips and we have people who don't want real estate, things that are happening.
So do you build that based on the content shared in that group, or do you have to recreate content?
No, it's all different content. I mean, sometimes we like to post in our newsletter the clients who have closed with us from the group.
Okay.
Welcome our new neighbors. They just part of our group and just kind of keep that in their head, right? Like,
yep. It's welcome to a new neighbor, but.
So how do people find the group? I was going to ask. So let's say
Same way you found your groups when you were moving.
Okay. With your groups, like, can people in your group, and this is way over my head, but I had heard about it. If you're in a group and you want to target that group, people can run targeting ads to specific groups. Do you find that a lot of people do that for your group or in your group, or do you have to approve that?
You can't run ads in a group.
Okay.
That's not a thing. You can't run ads in a group, but we can target ads to our group.
Okay.
That's
you could target, yes.
Whole nother.
And even someone else, even if you're not the owner of the group, they could target that group, correct?
They could, but they have to have things like email addresses and.
Yeah, you could run an ad that drives traffic to the group's, pay to the group's link or to the group itself. So you could run regular targeted ads to the group. Like if you
This is going to be a course I'll be selling later.
Yeah, I was like, I can't wait to buy the course.
This one's a whole nother game.
Packaging up.
But you know what's going to happen? People are just going to go.
Away all the secrets right now.
It's like, I want someone to do it for me. Can just someone do it for me? Oh, sure. That everyone thinks it's magical. It's easy.
That's the Heidi, right?
Yeah. We're gonna have. Listen, Jeff is an executor, so he's really great at saying, okay, we're gonna do this. When is the course going to be available?
I love it.
You need that executor. He's got, and I'll help sell tickets because I believe.
I love. Oh my God! Look, it's like the trifecta right here.
The trifecta. Yeah, we execute. We get stuff done, and we don't like to do it slow. We like to move fast.
And we like to write checks for people to be able to do it. Nikki, you're not going to be the one punching the holes on the stuff again.
I just want to share the information.
I love this. For me, I think because I know you, I've met Caitlin. I know the story of how you guys met and that special friendship. And I know the tears. I've witnessed the tears you've cried over people who have been able to really, overcome some things, and it's very inspiring. So I'm just glad that this isn't a boring Facebook group panel. This, to me, it's moving me. It's getting me excited, and I think
that's the goal.
Yeah.
If
anybody watching this,
that is what fills my heart, is people bringing community together, people talking to me. I went to an EXP luxury event in Denver recently, and the woman sitting next to me was like, "Oh my God, I have 14,000 people in my group because of you. I watched one of your, yeah." And I was like, "Oh my God, do you know how amazing that is?"
Best feeling ever.
And you said it when we were in Jekyll Island. You said, this is more than Facebook.
Yes.
This is about changing people's lives. And that's why I was so
It's
excited to have you
changing
on
people's
here.
lives. It's the ripple effect.
Yeah. So whether it's Pedro, Jennifer, James, whoever's watching and commenting, like, you can go out and build the next, big community page or whatever's near and dear to your heart. This is the first step. You're listening to this, and now the action of just saying, okay, what's my purpose? What do I want this group to represent? The mission of it, establish some standards, and just start growing it.
Right.
I'm excited
It was all about giving back to the community. It was all charity. It wasn't even like a community knowledgeable group. It was more like, how can we give back to our community? Let's do charitable work. Let's, like, whatever fills your heart, that's the route to take it. Because the business will come. The business is going to come. The more people you connect with, the more you're top of mind, the more, but the biggest thing is to be passionate about what you're talking about.
Right.
So if you have a passion for charitable work, if you have whatever you're passionate about, that's what the group should be about, because everything else happens after that.
Do you go live in there, or do you hide behind the keyboard, or is it a blend?
So I just started going live in there, and I got 2 listings the last time I went live.
Yes. And I think you should go live more, because now they're putting them in face. Now, once you start stepping outside on the street, people start looking at it. When you start
Girl,
getting,
if I had that accent, I'd be like,
no, but you don't. Okay, so I really had pandemic depression. Like, seriously, over COVID, I gained a ton of weight, and I didn't even want to look in the mirror, let alone be live on camera. So I've been going to the gym and working out, and so now I feel more confident to get on camera. So now that's going to be my thing, is like going on camera and telling people what's happening in our area and doing YouTube videos. Like, that's what we should all be doing, YouTube videos. Be the authority in our area. Yes. So that's like my 2022 vision, is like,
we're going to hold you
accountable. Just be on camera more.
Yeah, we're going to hold you accountable to that. I'm a big fan of camera, even if my hair is a hot mess or whatever. It's just like, I want to show up as me. And then a lot of people say, I see me in you. Like, I see you. Like, it's okay to come on with no makeup. It's okay to feel confident. So I'm excited for you, because I know the amount of people who are going to, and like I said earlier, we're all talking at the same time. If I had your accent, I'd be live every day.
Oh.
But it's not an accent to me.
Yeah. Right. But to us, it's like, she speaks and it's so beautiful. Right.
And the curls.
Right. I'd be like, look at me. I woke up like this, but it's so cool. Hey, okay. So what are the cons of running a team? Like, what should people know? We've heard the positive. What are some of the challenges of running a group like this, and that you would say you learn from? What mistakes did you have to learn and overcome?
I think it's really making sure that everybody's on the same page as far as what the rules are and what the standards are, and letting people in. And, we kind of have it's like a well-oiled machine at this point. I think it's just one of those failing forward things. Like, when things happen, we just have to get together and say, okay, in future, we're never going to allow this type of thing. Or, it's trial and error. If things aren't working, just change it. You'll feel it it'll feel right.
Obviously something as important as who you pick as an admin. If you pick someone as an admin, they have the ability to shut your group down, right?
Well, my people are all moderators.
Right. So let's say someone is a rookie, they don't know that.
Yeah.
When they buy your course, right, they're going to learn these
people
tips.
Are moderators and not admins, because they can kick you out of your own group.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think when they buy your course, when that is launched, they'll learn a lot of tips, right? Cool. But I think it's really important, guys. Nikki, this has been great. I mean, Jeff is one, and I've known Jeff for many years. He's been on every Inman's, platform, and every platform you can think of. And he's very particular about who he interviews and making sure that value is provided. Jeff, what do you got? What do you think?
I'm so grateful. This was awesome. You have me pumped up. And, while we all have groups, there's so many cool ideas of diving in deeper. I think I love the fact that you talked about it's a mom's thing, but people from out of the area are finding value. When you see people coming from different parts of the country or even the world to participate in the group, you've nailed it. And it's so rare to see people nail this, and you've done it.
I think one of the really, I don't know how much time we have left, but I think one of the really important things to do is, obviously I want people to know that I am in real estate without kind of throwing it up in the group. So what I've done is I made my personal profile very real estate heavy.
Full transparent.
To the public. My friends will see my other types of posts, but I have real estate kids so that they can see that I'm a single mom and I also run a real estate company, and can't you relate to me type thing, right? Yep. So when I make a post, because I'm the admin in my group, people kind of like, who's this chick? I know that they're thinking like, who's this chick? We all do it, right? We all Facebook stalk different people.
Facebook stalk, yeah.
We all do that. So I know that when I make a post like, hey, welcome to the group, they immediately go click on my profile to see who I am. And, oh, what do you know? I sell real estate.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the psychology that I have behind not throwing up that I'm in real estate on my group, but I know that they're going to click and see who I am behind the scenes.
Yep. Subconsciously, they got you.
So good. This is so good.
All right. Well, listen, so we're going to try and wrap up. If I had to ask you one last question, just for some fun, is there another group in your plan? Is there another venture of group you're going to start somewhere? Maybe you don't have to tell us, but is there another idea?
There are always more groups. It's unlimited. There's no ceiling.
I know. That's
why. Yeah, we're going to be having some groups coming up.
All right. So we're going to have to pay more attention to Nikki here at Curly Brit. Keep a chat. Keep her in the groove, right? So
this is so
really
good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Audience. We'll make sure everyone gets to know you as well as myself. And V, it's always good to see you back again.
Man, it's always such a pleasure to be here. RELaunch Live, I was just saying, is turned into something pretty special. Actually, we're getting ready to plan our big national RELaunch Live event. Ooh. And obviously, Nikki, I'd love to have you as one of the main speakers, because I think you can bring tremendous value to the people who have made RELaunch Live a community. And you just, like I said, inspired me to get to work on our RELaunch Live community, which has been one that's been around the country now. But it's just exciting to know that this podcast has now turned into something that we get to share with everyone and bring our friends. So, Nikki, you made it extra special today. Thank you guys for tuning in to RELaunch Live, where you get to rethink, reimagine, and be re-inspired. And I think that's what happened today with Curly Brit, also known as Nikki Klein. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Y'all.
You've been listening to the RELaunch Live podcast, helping you rethink, reimagine, and be re-inspired in your life and business. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. Find the show on Apple, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. See you